Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. So glad you're here today. If you will please stand, we'll start with our opening sing-along, which is brought to us by Karen Drucker, and all the lyrics will be up here for us.
Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Thank you for my health, Spirit, thank you for my health. Thank you for my health, Spirit, thank you for my health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life. Thank you for my wealth, Spirit, thank you for my wealth. Thank you for my wealth, Spirit, thank you for my wealth. My opulent, my opulent, my opulent wealth. My opulent, my opulent, my opulent wealth. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Oh, thank you. Thank you for this day, Spirit. I want to thank you. I want to thank you. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Every day I say thank you for this day, Spirit.
Woo! Wow. I got so into it, I forgot where I was. Well, good morning, everyone in the room, and to those of you joining us on YouTube. So glad that you're with us today. Rev K sends her love. She's actually speaking over at YOLO CSL. And we have Rev David that can join us as a result. So grateful. We send our love to her as well. And we want you to know, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you're welcome here, right? No judgment, because we're all in it together, this infinite unfolding. My name is Reverend Mitch. I am your spiritual director and your MC today. So I'm excited about that. And you have a very special service today. We have some great treats in store for you. But before we get started, we're just going to send some well wishes to our children's church. So if everyone will rub their hands together, and we just send our children love and light and all the wisdom and grace to continue on their journey. Blessed be. Thank you. So I want to start off by telling or reminding us who we are. And so, fun fact, we have a new who we are statement. So here's the thing. We all looked at the first statement. We said, are we really doing that? Are we really radically inclusive and all those things? And we said, we need to really create a statement that reflects who we are. So we're trying this one on. And we welcome feedback in the metal box with the little card, because this is a we church. So we try something new. We want some feedback. So please let us know how you like it. So this new statement is, we are an inclusive, supportive, spiritual community that celebrates all life. That's the new one. We also aspire to live authentic spiritual lives through a practical application of the teachings of Science of Mind. So what are those teachings? Well, there's a lot of teachings, but they kind of boil down to these 4 ideas. The first one is, all thought is creative and influential. All thought is creative and influential. And we even know that, like if we get embarrassed in our head, what happens to our face? Like it gets hot or our body gets, right? We see that in action all the time. Number 2 is, there is only God. There's no evil or devilishness out there. There's only God. And we're all creators to create either a heaven or hell on earth. And that hell gets created right here with our thoughts. The third thing we believe with all our heart is that everything in our experience is either a call for love or an expression of love. No exceptions. Not one. And I'll tell you what, the first time I heard that, I went, really? Are you sure? I think there's some exceptions, and I started rolling through a reel of them. And over time, as I continued to hear that statement and work with this idea, it started to make sense for me. So if it hasn't landed with you yet, stick with it. Number 4, and this 4th one, when the first time I heard it and went into a Science of Mind church, the first time I heard it, I'll tell you, I was broken. My life was a mess. I needed something. I didn't like myself. And then I heard this. We believe you are whole, perfect, and complete, just as you are right now. And then I reached for the box of tissues and began to empty it because I felt not even close to whole or perfect or complete. And the truth was, I had some human things that got layered over the top of it. Personality defects, weak spots, bad choices. But if I could take all those layers off to my essence, always, and will always be whole, perfect, and complete. And don't let your mind tell you any different, because it'll try, won't it? All right, so we would like to acknowledge if there's anyone who's here for the first or second time, we're not going to ask you to stand or say anything, but we would just like for you to raise your hand so we can just celebrate you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. So glad you're here. Welcome. And we have Chana has a little free Science of Mind magazine for you and some information. All right, now we've come to our inclusive candle lighting, and I'm going to ask Reverend David if he would come up and light the candle for us, and he will tell me later. I should have asked him in advance. So. It's right over here, and you just light it.
I just put matches up there in case you prefer.
Yeah, you can have matches, whatever you like. Yeah, it's right up there. There we go. Beautiful. We light this candle to celebrate the unity of all peoples, all faiths, all beings, all life, honoring the infinity of oneness as all creation, seen and unseen, to remind us of the light of spirit within us all. Blessed be. Thank you so much. So we are a praying community here at Sierra CSL, and you'll notice in your seat backs there'll be a little purple slip, or there's also extra purple slips to the left of the door. You're welcome to write out your prayer there. You don't have to put your name if you just want to put your initials. Spirit knows who you are. We can pray for you. We can pray for a family member, a pet, whatever is on your heart that needs a little help or support or celebration. And you'll just put it in the wooden box. If you want a written prayer or a call, we're also happy to do that. It goes out and we pray all week on them, And if you're online, we'd love to pray with you as well if you just go to sierra.org. And we're doing a little website refresh, so come check it out. And if you go to spiritual support, you'll see right there prayer. We're working on a prayer button, so it's super easy. You can just like click, and get prayer. So that's what we're working on right now. Okay, I would like to invite up our board president, Marilyn Gale. Give us our announcements.
Good morning. I'm Marilyn. What is my name? I'm Marilyn Gale, and I'm happy to share the announcements for this morning. First of all, stay tuned after service for the workshop, The 4 Stages of Thought, Your Spiritual Tool Kit. This is facilitated by Reverend Patricia. Cost is a love offering, so please stay for that. Drop-in yoga is with Sarah on Thursdays from noon to 1 p.m. here at Sierra Center. It's $11 love offering. Please bring your own yoga mat and props. Our community potluck after service on September 7th will be dedicated to discussing what a practitioner is, what they do, and how to become one. We'll also answer questions about other classes and programs. Please mark foods with known allergens for those of us that are challenged. And we have the North of 70 Circle meeting on Tuesday, September 9th, here at Sierra Center. This is a support and networking group offered to those 70 years and older. Rise and Speak is back beginning September 16th. Through October 21st on Tuesdays from 6 to 8:30 p.m. We're half full right now, so know that a $60 deposit is required by the first class, and you can sign up here in the foyer.
What is it? It's awesome.
Rise and Speak. There's a flyer over here on the table, and you can speak to Rev Mitch after service if you want to hear more about it. I took the class, highly recommend it. It was fabulous. 6, offering, let's see, we have a class offering of 5 gifts of an abundant life. Join us for this Centers for Spiritual Living accredited class to up-level your life and realize more abundance. Rev Patricia is going to be facilitating this class via Zoom, and it begins on Wednesday, September 17th. Again, there's more information in the foyer. And also know our center is giving its time to help clean up the Yuba River. We're joining in on the annual cleanup effort scheduled for Saturday, September the 20th. Cleanup starts at 9 a.m. and will go until noon. There will be a barbecue lunch afterward in Condon Park. We're going to meet here at the center at 8 a.m. to carpool. Or you're welcome to drive to our assigned location, which is Bridgeport. Oh, I love it. Volunteers will be given T-shirts to represent Sierra Center during the cleanup. Sign up in the foyer. All right, now, the last announcement is about parents and children, but I think we've already taken care of that. So I'm going to go straight to info flyers and sign-up sheets for all classes and events are located in the foyer. And you can also find Zoom links and details about all our announcements in our weekly e-newsletter and also on our website, which is sierracenter.org. And at this moment, this is a friendly reminder to please, if you have your cell phone on you, please put it on silent at this time so the rest of the service will be as it should be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marilyn, for stepping in. Well, this is a special service, and we have the good pleasure to officially install Reverend Patricia VanWoerkom as one of our ecclesiastical team. So I will invite Reverend Patricia to come up. All right, up here. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be an interactive installation. We're going to stretch and do Pilates.
Remember to breathe.
That's right, keep breathing. There is not the Sierra Center and community members. There is the center as its members. The body of Sierra CSL is composed of individuals who are its hands, its feet, its head, and its heart. Every person is unique, a unique individualization of the divine spirit, the presence of God. Through each other and in our unified awareness, we share our experience of the presence of the divine. Each time we think of the spirit of our center, we attune ourselves with the sum of the power, the life, and the love, which is the healing presence that indwells the body of this center through the individuals in it. I will now ask the practitioners and our prayer team to please stand and move in a circle around our congregation. So if you will please come to the edges, around the edges here. And now I will ask our Board of Trustees to join them to the center. Come around the edges. Thank you. And online, I invite you to join us in spirit. One of the most satisfying of human experiences is to become aware of our deliberate effort towards self-unfoldment, thereby making it possible for more of the divine potential to express through us. In furthering this effort, we have chosen to unify ourselves with high purposes and love in partnership with this center. Reverend Patricia is about to commit to partnership with the Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. This commitment unifies you with the spiritual family. It widens the circle of those who will care for you, comfort you, and love you. Now I will make some statements, and if you agree at the end, you will say, I will. Are you willing to make a promise? Will you bring the best that is in you to this family? Will you try always to remember that love has brought you here? Love will make the rough times smooth, the good times even better. Do you promise to bring your love to this spiritual family? I will. Practitioners, as the prayer support of this center, will you promise to include Reverend Patricia in your prayer work for this community? Do you promise to hold her in the highest consciousness and always know the highest good for her? If so, please respond, I will. Board members, as the leadership of the community, do you commit to include the well-being of Reverend Patricia in all your decisions as the business arm and steward of the center? And will you remember at all times the trust this entire community has placed in you? If so, please say, I will. Current members, if you feel so inclined, please stand. And if you're online and a member, you can stand as well. So will you recognize Reverend Patricia as an opportunity? Do you commit and recommit to your intentions of this spiritual path, your beliefs and your purpose? Do you promise to bring the best that is in you to this spiritual family? Will you always try to remember that love has brought you here? Love will make the rough times smooth, the good times even better. Do you promise to bring your love and support to this spiritual family? And do you promise to welcome Reverend Patricia into your heart and include her in your activities? If so, please say, I will. And any community members or friends who feel so called, I invite you as well to rise. And I will make this statement, and you can say I will if you'd like to. You have witnessed the willingness of these people to join this spiritual family. Will you hold space and know that Reverend Patricia will find her path in this spiritual family? If so, please say, I will. I will. Beautiful. On behalf of the Sierra Center for Spiritual Living, I lovingly receive Reverend Patricia into the ecclesiastical staff for this center. Welcome to the Sierra Center family. So blessed. So blessed. Woo! I got you. Okay, church is done. I'm going to invite Doug VanWoerkom up to the stage. Doug is a drumming poet and many wonderful things, a longtime metaphysician, and of course the husband of Patricia. So we're excited to have Doug perform for us a pre-meditation drumming poem.
Good morning.
Good morning.
One of the challenges of sharing a poem with in a situation like this is finding the one that supports the speaker. It helps to be married to the speaker. When she tells you what she wants, and I say, okay. This poem came out of one of those times in my life when I was asking, does this stuff really work? Do I really want to build my life on this philosophy? And instead of coming up with a yes or a no, I wrote a poem. At the end of each stanza, you will hear a phrase. It's the same phrase at the end of each stanza, and I invite you to join in then if you feel so inclined. That phrase and the title is, how deeply is the divine etched in my life? The old meaning of the word character was the etch of God on your soul. The old meaning of the word character was the etch of God on your soul. The tired old man or woman is one who's given up on ever knowing God in their life, but a true seeker is always moving closer to the maker of all things. When you become a truth seeker, great teachings find you. Dare now to live large and take great strides upon this earth in ways that are meaningful for you. Ask yourself every day, how deeply is the divine etched in my life? If you feel there is no new way, new uplifting way to live your life, then you are enslaved. Either discover a healthy way of thinking that frees you to grow each day, or you'll be trapped in the one that doesn't. Once you understand this, you will no longer need a preacher or a teacher or a poet to show you the way. You are the way. Ask yourself each morning you wake up and every night you go to sleep, how deeply is the divine etched in my life? You know, a loving God is completely comfortable with diversity. Look around, it's everywhere. But don't settle for seeing the attractive in what's easy. Divinity is unfolding through all of us, even in the most difficult of times. True beauty won't show itself until we look deep into those hard places with an open heart. So ask yourself in good times and in bad, how deeply is the divine etched in my life? It's true. We'll joyfully lead a child by the hand as they learn to walk, yet we hesitate to encourage the divine in our own lives. Why do we hold back? In prayer, we are choosers within creation, partners with potential. Why do we hold back? In prayer, we are divinity's upward spiral. We are creation's continuing expansion. Why do we hold back? In prayer. Friends, let's not wait until the end of a long, lonely life to ask ourselves, how deeply is the divine etched in my life? 2 stanzas left. Did you know that the future lives in us long before it ever appears? Our entire unfolding is in us now, just waiting for us to choose. You know, always making room for new choices to occur leaves eternity breathless. Can we agree? Some self-growth is built in, but at some point, we have to consciously choose to grow. Let's all choose to grow right now and ask ourselves, how deeply is the divine etched in my life? We all stand somewhere between the 2 greatest of gifts, our birth and our death. One is the great entering, the other, the great returning. Each life, an exploration of all that is possible, each death, a rejoining with all that is true. Is there any better time or place than right here and now in this life to explore our own divinity? The fool looks eternity right in the eye and says, I have all the time I need. The wise one asks, how deeply is the divine etched in my life?
You're up.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Lanny Howard, and I am going to invite us to do some alms. I'm going to ring a bell, and we will do an alm. We will do that 3 times. And after that, Doug will be doing our sacred reading. And following that, we will go into a 3-minute meditation, and I will bring us out with affirmative prayer.
So this is called What Praying Is. I wrote one morning while thinking about prayer and my part in it. It's short, I'll read it twice. Let the form and shape of your prayer be the container, the cup that holds, so tasting can occur. Let your voice, your words, your speaking from the heart be what slowly fills the cup to the brim and into spilling over. Flooding saucer, table, floor, filling all time and space and you, so everyone and everything is served, soaked equally, deeply, and completely. And again, let the form and shape of your prayer be the container, the cup that holds so tasting can occur. Let your voice, your words, your speaking from the heart be what slowly fills the cup to the brim and into spilling over. Flooding saucer, table, floor, filling all space and time, and you, so that everyone and everything is served, soaked equally, deeply, completely.
to remember to know that there is just one power, one presence, one divine intelligence, one infinite life energy that is in, around, and through everything. How grateful I am in this moment to be alive, to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, to touch. All there is in this beautiful earthly realm that we have been given. And to know that we are each incarnations of that energy, of that oneness, of that wholeness. Here by divine appointment to bring forth the good, to bring forth that which is uniquely in us to give and to receive. And so I am grateful for all of those who are giving to us today, who are serving us to make this service possible. I'm grateful for the inspiration and the loving presence of Reverend Patricia and the inspiration we get from her talk. I'm grateful for the poem, the drumming, the realizations of truth that are coming through Doug. And so I'm just grateful to know how marvelous it is to be in spiritual community and to know what we know and to practice what we know and to be that presence to the degree that we are open and available to it. And so with great, great gratitude for the good that I know is unfolding by means of all that is occurring this morning and all that unfolds in our week ahead, with love and with joy, I release this word into the law of life itself, knowing that the law responds by corresponding to this energy and makes it so. And we affirm this together as we say, and so it is.
This poem came out of some classwork I've done that was offered through CSL. And in class, you do a deep dive into all the things you hear on Sunday. You hear ministers talk about, practitioners talk about. This teaching says that no matter how difficult, frightening, or confusing any situation is, we are always at choice. And that's where our freedom lives. This poem was my way of working out that idea. And in full disclosure, I am a work in progress. I have good days, and I have days other than good days. It has a repeating phrase at the end of each stanza, and that phrase and the title is always at choice. This life was here before eternity began and will remain when forever winds down. Friends, it may take me 3 classes, 3 decades, 3 lifetimes. I can't really say. All I know is I am here to learn that I am always at choice. We know now, don't we, that all prayer must include what's best for everyone involved. If not, then how can we enjoy a meal when others at our table go hungry? So let's all pray together and remember, we are always at choice. Tell me, why should we struggle so hard to reach those higher realms of learning when everything we need is right here all around us and within our own grasp? God, if we learn just one thing in this life, let it be we are always at choice. When the acrobat swings out over the crowd and lets go her flying trapeze, she bets her entire life on knowing right where the next swing will be. My life swings somewhere between the two spiraling towers. The one is of my own free will, the other is of God's amazing grace. Friends, what I'm really trying to say here is, I am always at choice. It's true. The awakened mind can set the powerful horses of intention thundering across the open prairies of the heart, but none of that matters if we forget we are always at choice. So what if the poor person wins the lottery? So what if the rich one gains enlightenment with their last dime spent? None of that matters if they forget they are always at choice. Praise Spirit. I am finally learning now how to dance between those two great pounding hammers of life and of death. Who really knows? I may live forever, or I may die tonight. But none of that really matters if I forget I am always at choice. So, let's set a welcoming table and make the most beautiful meal. Let's spread these ideas out before us like plates of warm, nourishing food. And never forget, life always tastes so much better when we remember we are always at choice. Friends, help me now. I don't know if I should end this poem right here now or not. Oh, wait, I just remembered. I am always at choice.
Give it up again for Doug. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. You know, I thought about Reverend Patricia and our journey together, which went back, 5, 6 years now. And she invited me over to her house, and she wanted to show me her annex because she was going to sponsor my Rise and Speak program because the spiritual community in Sacramento didn't have a space to hold it, and she offered her space for the class. And not only did she offer her space for the class, she also offered up poor Doug, who had to do the TV and the technical and all these things. And then Reverend Patricia also promoted the class, asked her friends to come. So did Stephanie, thank you. And it was an amazing class, and she didn't ask for anything. She just wanted to offer it. I just share with you that little story because that's the kind of person Reverend Patricia is. She shows up. She has show-up power and a full heart to give, and she's picked this community to give it to. So I really hope you get a chance to get some one-on-one with Reverend Patricia. She is fabulous. And what I was just thinking about was, in our teaching, we teach alike attracts like. And when I think about our ecclesiastical team, how powerful, how loving, how invested, how much our team gives to this community, it makes total sense she showed up, right? Perfect fit. And so I am thrilled that Reverend Patricia will be bringing the message today. And I want to invite you to join me in giving Reverend Patricia a warm welcome up to the stage. Yes.
Good morning, all. Terry Cole Whitaker has a wonderful book called What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. And in there she says, what we do when we first meet people is we say, hi, my name is Patricia, and here's my past. Okay? Which has nothing to do with the moment, right? But it's, here's my past. Yeah, don't trip. Here's my history. Except it does make a difference. The reason I joined this community, which Lanny asked the first time I met you guys, she said, why are you here? And I said, because I want to teach. This teaching has done so much for me. But what you see is where I am now in my journey. Because I won't say I'm done. I'm definitely still in progress. But if you don't know where I was, how can you assess how much I've used the teaching, how much I walk my own talk? So I'm going to take you into my deep, dark past. Because I am not who I was 40 years ago. Now, some of you know my intro story, that I was sent to the Monterey Church of Religious Sciences, what CSL centers were called back then, by a temporary agency to interview for a job as church secretary. It would now be called church admin. And don't worry, Chana, I am not telling you what your future is. So I got settled in, and I was absolutely acting on faith because I was going to be their bookkeeper, and I was only halfway through my first bookkeeping class. And the minister took off for a trip with half the church. Well, not half the church, but a bunch of them. So I'm sitting there in my office trying to organize and sort things, and the phone starts ringing. And it rang more that first 2 weeks with the same question than it did the entire 7 years I was there. And it was, what is this religious science? What is it? How does it differ from Christian science? And in my head, I'm going, I don't know, I just work here. I had, in the interview, reassured myself that they were not the Church of Scientology, because Scientology at the time was having problems with the IRS. And as you remember, I hadn't even finished my first bookkeeping class, so I knew I wasn't ready for that. So when Reverend Bill came back, he started his usual fall classes, which is what used to be called the first year class. Foundation. Now it's called Foundations, and it's a whole different thing. But back in the olden days, it started with chapter 1 of the textbook, and for the next 36 weeks, 3 12-week sessions, we read all the way through the textbook. How many of you actually read the textbook? Oh, good. So you know what's in it. I was one of those walking heads. I was so in my head. I just thought about everything. So when I walked into the first class, these were ideas that made sense. It wasn't this, believe it because I say so. Believe it because somebody did something in the past that was miraculous. It was, we have a teaching that is logical. It is reasonable. You can try it yourself, test it. Take what works, leave the rest. Don't take anything on faith, but think about it. And what they said just made sense. Science and religion, no problem. It's all one. Okay? So I fell at home. Now, I used to say that people come into Science of Mind communities in one of two ways. Either they're all in their head, and it's, oh, what fabulous ideas. Let's talk about these ideas, okay? And the other ones came in with their life in shards and walking through blades of glass, okay, just in pain. Well, I was so in my head and so clueless that I had no idea what a mess my life was. In my arrogance, I thought I had it nailed. Okay? I was just coming, my husband, then husband, and I had separated. I actually typed my divorce papers on the typewriter at the church after hours. But I thought I had it made. I had decided to not go back to Kansas where my family was, and I've heard all of the Dorothy jokes, okay? But I knew I could always go back to Kansas. But it wasn't home anymore. So I decided to stay and try it in one of the most expensive places in the US, Monterey, California. So I started the job, and I started the classes. But again, y'all don't know where I was. We all have a history. We all have the family history we bring. We're all raised to believe in those certain things. And while I was 30 years old at that point, this is my first real break from what I was grown up with. My father was the one that I had the primary relationship with, which meant we fought. I declared war against him when I was 9 years old at the dining room table, and was smart enough to know to keep my mouth shut because he was a lot bigger than I was. He was Bostonian, puritanical Catholic, raised by a Scot mother who believed that emotions should never be shown. Okay? I never heard my father say he loved me. He did. He just couldn't say it. Never hugged me past the age of 2. My sister tells me that. I learned to be as rigid as he was. This man had the greatest self-will. He was wounded in World War II, and they told him they should probably take his leg off, and he said, "No, you won't." And they said, "Well, you'll never walk." And he said, "Yes, I will." And they said, "Well, you won't walk unaided." And he said, "Yes, I will." And he did. And that was the iron will that was in our household. There was right and there was wrong. No gray. It's all black and white. You guys know the meme of the drill sergeant with the recruit, and his heels are locked and his hair is going back like that, and the drill sergeant is shouting at him? Well, the heels locked against the wall was a standard pose growing up, but my father never raised his voice. One can be very intense and very frightening and be very still. I learned to stay small. I learned that if you couldn't pick out what was wrong going on, either weren't paying attention or you weren't very smart. Criticism was how you knew somebody was intelligent. And it was the best way to motivate better performance. How many of you were raised with criticism? How much of a motivator is that? Nah. He was many things. He was also clueless. When I ran into, I was also, the time I ended up at Science of Mind, dually addicted to Coca-Cola and cigarettes, so nicotine and caffeine, which means I was wound like a tight spring, wired. Touch me and I go off. The workshop I'm doing this afternoon basically is about building a spiritual toolkit, because at that time I only had one tool, and it was a hammer. And when all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail. So if it stands up, you pound it. It's a great defense and it's a great offense. Okay? The other thing about being raised in the military is that we moved a lot, or everyone around us moved. Same thing. I knew about how to start relationships, and I knew how to leave relationships. I didn't know jack about the middle of relationships, how to live in a relationship, how to nurture a relationship. I hadn't seen a healthy marriage. Not my siblings, not my parents, not my own. Obviously, I'm divorcing. So here I am, plop. And all of a sudden, Science of Mind says, you know, there's a whole lot of gray in between that black and white, that right and wrong. There is a world of infinite possibilities. And part of me feels liberated. And part of me is absolutely terrified. Because when one lives with rigid structures, solid rules, they may feel very, very limiting, but it's also very safe. You know what's expected, you know what to do. And to let go of that is to be in chaos. Complete and total chaos. Again, black and white thinking. All I have are rules, stability, and chaos. And Science of Mind is going, oh, no, 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 no. There's all these options. But to allow myself to really engage those options, I have to let go of the rigidity. How can you let go in that situation? I had wonderful practitioners. I had a wonderful community. That's the other thing I got at Monterey, besides his incredible teaching and be able to think about things in new ways. I got people who just loved me for no reason. And they had plenty of reasons not to, because I was not always comfortable to be around people who were full of anger and prickly pines. I had a practitioner who would come in. She was actually the music director, and she'd come into the church, because I worked in the church, and she technically was coming in to practice. But she would take one look at me in the office and know that I was in pain, either physical or emotional or both. And she'd say, put the phones on hold, grab my hand, take me out to the sanctuary, sit me down, and do a guided meditation. First time I ever felt peaceful, calm, safe. And I'd come to, maybe 30 minutes later, with this amazing feeling, just radiating calm. She was long gone. She'd done her work. She got me into the zone. Amazing. That's a gift. For when your mind is always on that gerbil wheel, always running about what's going to happen, and it's always the same loop, right? No matter where you start at, you always end at the same place. And it's not a good place. And she stopped that with such gentleness. But I ended up with this, as my left brain started relaxing, that logical linear, the right brain and my heart started opening. And I started getting metaphors that became helpful. And the one at that time, and this is like the first 2 years of my getting into the teaching, of being caught between these are the rules. This is what I know works. Only it's not working anymore. I'm not happy. This life is too small. But if I let go, here's chaos. The image was me holding on. Remember Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner? Okay. I was holding on to that cliff, and below me was an abyss. And there were rocks, sharp rocks in that abyss. And I knew that if I let go, I would fall into that abyss and just be torn apart. So I was gripping with everything I had, And someone was up there peeling my fingers back. And finally, staying where I was hurt more than the fear of the unknown. And I let go. And I fell. 6 inches. No rocks. Stunned. And this happened over and over and over. So I learned that it was okay to let go, that there was something there that would catch me, and that the rules were not the 10 Commandments. I didn't have to follow them. I could find a way through them. I'm not crying yet, so it must be good. So why did I stay on this path? Because at that point, a lot of it just wasn't fun. Everything was just changing. Everything was changing. If you guys know the Myers-Briggs, I'm an ISTJ, which means I like details and I like solidity. Okay. Science of Mind said, big picture. Okay? It's not just all the details. Look at the picture. Look at the frame of references you are using. Look at new perspectives. And don't sweat the details. And oh, by the way, the details are going to keep changing. So really don't sweat them. So I stayed because every time I fell those 6 inches, I could feel something come alive in me. Something that had been hidden, shoved away, came out and said, it really does get better than this. You really can do this. You can have a life that's happy. And, if you hear that enough times, you start believing it. It's really nice. But I chose to stay both for the community and for the teaching, and because frankly, that was my job. That's how I survived. But my whole life became the church and the people and the teaching, because it took all of that to get me to move from where I was. One of the things that happens in class is you start looking at belief systems. And healing is always about letting go of something that no longer works. And it's generally a belief system or an experience that I can't let go of. It may have hurt, but I still can't let go of it. And I got this metaphor, this image of being in a jail cell. The big heavy bars, and I'm holding on to the bars going, let me out, let me out. And someone told me, a wonderful practitioner, because I was telling her this is my feeling, and she said, look around. Are there bars on the right of you? No. Are there bars on the left? No. Above? No. So the only bars in the cell are the ones you're holding on to? Even as clueless as I was, I got that one. So I started with a rigid black and white thinker. My dual addiction wound tight as can be. It's a coiled spring. And I had an IQ that was well above normal and an EQ of about 25. That means I missed 3 out of 4 emotional cues. Yeah. There were two older couples in the church. One had been married, 40 years. And the other one, he was a divorcee, she was a widow, and they found themselves later in life. And I realized humans, I've got a child development background, so humans learn by modeling. If I've never seen a healthy relationship, how am I going to have one? So I adopted the two of them. Luckily, they adopted me back, and I just hung out with them. And I learned what a healthy relationship looks like. They were not perfect. Trust me, they were not perfect. But they knew how to live in a relationship. I went from not knowing to next month, Doug and I celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary. Stick around, you can learn a few things. And I stuck around and I learned a few things. I teach because this teaching changed me. And I've seen its power to change other people's lives. That's a bad way to tell Doug's story, and that's not my story to tell. He's grown as much as I have. One of the promises we made to each other when we first were going out was that each of us would take care of our own growth. I was responsible for my growth, not his. So I couldn't spend all my time telling him what he should do. How much do you tell people around you what they should do? Because you know better. Arrogance. Color me arrogant. But it's a great concept. And the other part of that is if either of us stop, the other one says, "What you doing? What you doing? Is it time to take a class again?" But I have other people who I have taught, who've been my students, who've been my friends, who I've seen their lives transform. There is nothing better than that. And what's the old line? Those who can do, those who can't teach. Okay? I teach what I want to learn. And the more I teach it, the more I learn it. So it's not a matter of the expert speaking down to the student. We're in this together. The talk title is The Journey That Chose Me. And it did. The moment I decided to not go back to Kansas, to not go back to what was already dead, to not recycle and repeat, but to try something altogether new and different, the universe said, wonderful. Here's a job. Here's something that you can make sense of the world. Here's a community that will support you, even when you're acting badly. They may not talk to you for a week, but they'll keep coming back. And I learned and I grew. And this community has those same qualities. It has a group of powerful teachers in the ministers and practitioners. CSL has a phenomenal curriculum. And there's a whole bunch of stuff we do that's outside the curriculum that's just fun. And it helps grow. And we're on this journey together. So I invite you to keep coming on Sundays. Keep listening to Mitch. Mitch gives you 3 different references every talk. that, that if it strikes you, you've got a place to follow down. You've got a book, an author, an idea, a YouTube that you can follow that will feed you. This is the banquet. And Doug's poem, he talks about laying out the banquet. We are that banquet, every one of us. We have something to give, to teach, and to learn. So I invite you to come hang out at my classes, come take my workshop this afternoon, and let's see how we can grow together and make this the most powerful center of light and truth in Grass Valley, where everyone truly is welcome and supported on their path, whatever path and wherever they are. I mean, it took me, and I changed. You have my word. This stuff works. Thank you.
Give it up for Reverend Patricia one more time. Thank you for sharing yourself with us, because one person's story is all of our story in some way, shape, or form. So if you will please stand, I will lead us in our affirmation. I will say it once, and then I will invite you to say it with me. Spirit walks with me, within me, and ahead of me, guiding me to my highest purpose and destination. Together. Spirit walks with me, within me, and ahead of me, guiding me to my highest purpose and destination. And so it is. If you will please have a seat and take your gift into your hand. This is where you would come up. And if you'd like, you can also text your gift by dialing 44321 and then typing in Sierra CSL. And if you will please, put your gift on your heart and read with me our intentional giving statement. I give this gift with love and joy from a consciousness of abundance. Divine love blesses and prospers all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and so it is. Thank you, Javon. So I gratefully receive these gifts. I gratefully acknowledge the hand that touched them, the hearts that have given them. And I know that the energy they've been infused with continues to radiate through this center for it to do its powerful and precious work of healing, revealing, uplifting, and guiding as this energy moves through our center into the community, state, nation, and world. I give thanks, and I release this word, and together we say, and so it is. Blessed be. All right, I want to give some thanks. I want to thank our ushers, Pat and Javon. Give them a hand. Our candlelighter, Reverend David. Announcements, Marilyn. Streaming tech, Diana and Chana. And sound, Maya. Sign placer, Chana. Our practitioner of the day, Reverend Lanny. Also, we didn't do children's church today, but Carol did set up for it. Let's give her a hand. Thank you so much. I'm your platform host, so welcome to be your platform host today. And a big hand for our guest artist, Doug VanWoerkom. And a big hand for our guest speaker, Reverend Patricia, newest member of our ecclesiastical team. So what are you taking away from our experience together today? Shout it out.
Gratitude.
What?
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Joy. 6 inches. Embrace the journey. Choice. Keep coming back. I love it. So we didn't have any children in children's church yet today. So we're going to stand and do our benediction. If you will please rise and repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
It's this thing called the divine etched in my life. It's this thing called I am a choice. It's this thing called I am on my divine path. I know it. I feel it. I sense it. Because I am it. And so it is. Let's close with our closing song.
I release
And I let
go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. Oh, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more strife. With my faith, I see the light. There you are. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for
Everyone have an excellent week. I hope you stick around for coffee and cookies. We're going to get the class started in about 5 minutes right up here. Have a blessed week, everyone. Thank you so much for coming.